Step away from the vehicle. I'm sorry. What? This is my car. Ma'am, we received a report of a suspicious person trying car doors in this lot. I'm not trying car doors. I'm loading groceries into my own car. Step away from the vehicle now and show me some ID. Officer, I just told you this is my car. My keys are right here. I need to see identification. Now, fine, I'm reaching for my credentials. FBI Counterterrorism, Special Agent Marcus. Sure you are. Hands behind your back. Officer Ryan Tucker had been with the Atlanta Police Department for exactly 9 months when he made a decision that would end his law enforcement career before it truly began. He was 24 years old, fresh out of the academy with a 3.8 gigapascals and perfect scores on his physical fitness tests, but apparently convinced that anyone who didn't look like his idea of a grocery shopper must be a criminal. One Saturday afternoon in an upscale shopping center parking lot, he responded to a call about a suspicious person and immediately targeted a black woman loading grocery bags into her luxury SUV. That woman was Special Agent Kendra Marcus, a 12-year FBI veteran who spent her days tracking domestic terrorism threats and international espionage networks. What Tucker did next, ignoring her federal credentials, escalating to physical force, and arresting her in front of dozens of witnesses, would cost the city $3.7 million. And become evidence that even rookie officers carry the same dangerous biases that destroy lives and careers. Before we dive deeper, where are you watching from? If this is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button. Stories like these need to be shared, and your support helps us bring more truth to light. Let's continue. A black woman in her mid-30 seconds, Special Agent Kendra Marcus, was standing at the open trunk of her Mercedes GLE, placing paper grocery bags inside after a routine Saturday shopping trip. Her FBI credentials were in her purse on the front passenger seat. Her service weapon was secured in a lockbox under the driver's seat, standard protocol for off-duty agents. No crime, no suspicious behavior, no violation, just a federal agent putting away groceries at her own vehicle. But to Officer Ryan Tucker, a rookie cop with 9 months on the job and a head full of assumptions about who drives luxury cars in affluent neighborhoods, she looked like someone who didn't belong there. Lenox Marketplace sits on Peachtree Road in Buckhead, one of Atlanta's wealthiest neighborhoods. It's an outdoor shopping center anchored by a Whole Foods, a Williams-Sonoma, and a handful of boutique stores that sell $200 candles and organic dog treats. The parking lot is always busy on weekends, filled with Range Rovers, Tesla Model X's, and BMWs. People come here in athleisure wear and designer sunglasses, carrying reusable shopping bags and talking on AirPods. It was 2:30 p.m. on a Saturday in late September. The weather was perfect. Low 70 seconds with clear skies. The lot was maybe 60% full. Families loaded groceries. Couples walked to their cars holding coffee cups. A few teenagers sat on a bench near the entrance scrolling their phones. The kind of Saturday afternoon where nothing dramatic typically happens. Special Agent Kendra Marcus had been with the FBI for 12 years. 12 years working cases that most Americans never hear about because they're stopped before they make headlines. She'd spent 6 years in counterterrorism, identifying and dismantling domestic extremist cells, planning attacks on federal buildings and public spaces. Before that, she'd worked 4 years in counterintelligence, tracking foreign operatives attempting to recruit assets within U.S. government agencies. And before that, 2 years in organized crime, building cases against drug trafficking networks operating across state lines. She'd testified before federal grand juries, briefed members of Congress on national security threats, and coordinated operations with Homeland Security, the CIA, and international intelligence agencies. Her work had directly prevented 3 planned attacks on U.S. soil. Her supervisors at the FBI's Atlanta field office called her exceptional. Her colleagues called her the agent you wanted, running point on anything that mattered. Kendra Marcus had earned her position through relentless work. She'd graduated summa cum laude from Spelman College with a degree in political science, then completed her master's in international relations at Georgetown. She'd been recruited by the FBI during her final semester at Georgetown, went through training at Quantico where she ranked in the top 5% of her class, and immediately impressed her supervisors with her ability to see connections others missed. She'd received the FBI Director's Award for Excellence twice in 12 years. She'd been promoted to Senior Special Agent 3 years ahead of the typical timeline. At 36 years old, Kendra Marcus was exactly where she'd worked to be. She lived in a 3-bedroom townhouse in Midtown Atlanta. She drove a Mercedes she'd saved 3 years to buy. She had a partner, a graphic designer named Simone, and a rescue dog named Justice. On weekends, when she wasn't on call, she did normal things: grocery shopping, yoga classes, brunch with friends. That Saturday afternoon, Marcus had finished a workout at her gym, stopped at Whole Foods for groceries, and was loading bags into her trunk. She had arrived at 2:15 p.m., parked in a spot near the entrance, and spent about 10 minutes inside the store. She wore black leggings, a gray hoodie, and running shoes. Her natural hair was pulled back in a ponytail. Casual, athletic, completely unremarkable. Her FBI credentials were in her black leather purse on the passenger seat. Her service weapon was locked in a biometric safe under the driver's seat. She rarely carried it off duty unless she was working a case that required it. She looked like what she was: a woman in her 30 seconds running weekend errands. She'd done nothing unusual. She'd spoken to no one except the cashier who rang up her groceries. But to someone watching the parking lot, someone looking for problems that didn't exist, Kendra Marcus was about to become a suspect. Officer Ryan Tucker was 24 years old. He'd been with the Atlanta Police Department for 9 months. Graduating from the academy in January with high marks and enthusiastic recommendations from his instructors. He was eager, motivated, and absolutely convinced that his instincts about suspicious behavior were reliable. His training officers had noted in his evaluations that Tucker was proactive, perhaps overly so, and that he tended to see threats where none existed. One FTO had written, "Officer Tucker demonstrates enthusiasm for police work, but needs to develop better judgment about when intervention is necessary. He has a tendency to escalate situations that could be resolved through conversation." In 9 months, Tucker had already accumulated 4 complaints. 4. 2 involved questioning black residents in affluent neighborhoods about whether they lived there. 1 involved stopping a Hispanic man walking his dog and demanding to see proof of residency. Another involved detaining an Asian teenager for taking photographs in a public park, insisting he needed a permit. All 4 complaints had been marked as unfounded or closed without discipline, but the pattern was already forming. Tucker saw people of color in spaces he associated with wealth or privilege and assumed they didn't belong. That Saturday afternoon, Tucker was on patrol in Zone 2, which covered Buckhead and surrounding areas. At 2:25 p.m., he received a call from dispatch about a suspicious person in the Lenox Marketplace parking lot. The caller, who remained anonymous, reported someone trying car door handles. Tucker responded immediately. In his mind, this was exactly the kind of proactive policing he'd been trained for. Suspicious activity, potential theft, opportunity to prevent crime. He arrived at the parking lot at 2:28 p.m., slowly cruising through the rows of parked cars, scanning for anyone who looked out of place. His eyes landed on Kendra Marcus, a black woman standing at the trunk of a Mercedes, loading bags, looking around occasionally, appearing to Tucker like someone checking to see if they were being watched. In Tucker's mind, this had to be the suspicious person. He parked his patrol car behind her Mercedes, blocking it in, and got out. Do you think rookie officers should undergo additional bias training before being assigned to patrol wealthy neighborhoods? Drop your answer below. Marcus was placing her last grocery bag into the trunk when she heard a car door slam behind her. She turned and saw a police officer walking toward her, hand resting on his belt near his weapon, expression hard. Her stomach tightened. She'd been a federal agent long enough to know exactly what was happening. "Step away from the vehicle." Marcus straightened, her hands visible, her tone calm. "I'm sorry. What? This is my car." "Ma'am, we received a report of a suspicious person trying car doors in this lot." "I'm not trying car doors. I'm loading groceries into my own car." Marcus gestured to the bags in her trunk, the receipt visible on top of one bag. Tucker's expression didn't soften. "Step away from the vehicle now and show me some ID." "Officer, I just told you this is my car. My keys are right here." Marcus held up her key fob, the Mercedes logo clearly visible. Tucker took a step closer. "I need to see identification." Now, Marcus felt the familiar weight of this moment. She could comply, show her driver's license, hope this officer would recognize his mistake. Or she could assert her authority as a federal agent and hope he'd respect it. She chose the latter. Fine, I'm reaching for my credentials. They're in my purse on the front seat. FBI Counterterrorism, Special Agent Marcus. Tucker's eyes narrowed. Sure you are. Keep your hands where I can see them. Marcus moved slowly, opening the passenger door and reaching for her black leather purse. She pulled out the credentials, the black case with the gold FBI badge and identification card, and held them up. Special Agent Kendra Marcus, FBI, Atlanta Field Office. Now, do you understand this is a mistake? Tucker glanced at the badge for maybe 2 seconds. His jaw tightened. Ma'am, anyone can buy a fake badge online. I'm going to need you to put that down and place your hands behind your back. This is where assumptions become accusations. Officer Tucker had responded to a call about a suspicious person. When he arrived, he saw a black woman standing at a car. In his mind, that confirmed the call. The groceries didn't matter, the Mercedes key fob didn't matter, the federal credentials didn't matter. He'd already decided she was a criminal, and every piece of evidence after that was dismissed as deception. Officer, these are legitimate federal credentials. You can verify them with one phone call to the FBI Atlanta Field Office. The number is on the card. I'm asking you to make that call before this goes any further. Tucker's hand moved to his handcuffs. I'm not calling anyone. Hands behind your back. Now. The parking lot was busy. People walked past with shopping carts. A family loading groceries 2 cars away had stopped to watch. A man standing near the entrance had his phone out, recording. Marcus was acutely aware that this was being documented. Should officers be required to verify federal credentials before making arrests? Let me know what you think. I am not resisting. I am complying under protest. I am Special Agent Kendra Marcus, FBI. This officer is arresting me for loading groceries into my own car. Everyone here is a witness. Please record this. The man near the entrance moved closer, phone angled toward them. The family 2 cars away had stopped completely, both parents watching with concern. A woman coming out of Whole Foods paused, pulling out her phone. Marcus turned slowly, placing her hands behind her back. Tucker grabbed her wrists roughly, yanking them together. The handcuffs snapped on, tight, cutting into her skin. Marcus winced, but stayed silent. You're under arrest for obstruction and providing false identification to a police officer. I didn't obstruct anything. I identified myself as a federal agent and offered you credentials. You refused to verify them, and these handcuffs are too tight. Tucker ignored her, gripping her arm and walking her toward his patrol car. Marcus's groceries sat in her open trunk. Her purse was on the passenger seat. Her car was unlocked, keys still in the trunk. Officer Tucker, Marcus said, reading his nameplate. You are arresting a federal agent without cause. You refuse to verify legitimate credentials. You are using excessive force, and you're doing this in front of multiple witnesses. This will end your career before it starts. Tucker opened the back door of his patrol car. Get in. Marcus complied, bending to sit in the back seat. The handcuffs dug deeper into her wrists. Tucker closed the door and walked back to Marcus's Mercedes. He peered into the windows, checking the interior. Then he returned to his patrol car, got in, and pulled out of the parking lot. The drive to Zone 2 precinct took 8 minutes. Marcus spent it breathing slowly, staying calm, documenting everything in her mind. Times, statements, actions, witnesses. She'd built cases for 12 years. She knew how to preserve evidence. And this case was building itself. They arrived at the precinct at 2:47 p.m. Tucker walked Marcus inside, still handcuffed, past the front desk, where a desk sergeant looked up with immediate confusion. Tucker, what do you have? Suspicious person at Lenox Marketplace. Refused to leave a vehicle she claimed was hers. Provided fake federal credentials. The sergeant stood, his expression shifting to concern. Fake credentials? What kind? FBI badge. Obviously fake. Marcus spoke clearly, her voice carrying authority. Sergeant, I am Special Agent Kendra Marcus, FBI Counterterrorism Division, Atlanta Field Office. I was loading groceries into my own car when Officer Tucker approached me. I showed him my legitimate federal credentials, which he dismissed as fake without verification. I complied with his orders, but I am now requesting that you verify my identity immediately. The sergeant's face went pale. She showed you FBI credentials? Tucker pulled the credentials from his pocket and tossed them on the desk. She had these. Anyone can print them. The sergeant picked up the credentials, examining them carefully. The badge, the ID card, the hologram security features, the official seal. Everything about them screamed authentic. He looked at Marcus, then at Tucker, then back at the credentials. Tucker, these look real. They're not. I'm calling the FBI field office right now. The sergeant picked up the phone, dialed the number printed on the credential card, and waited. Yes, this is Sergeant Mike Lawson, Atlanta PD Zone 2. I need to verify the identity of someone claiming to be Special Agent Kendra Marcus, badge number 8847. He listened, his expression darkening. Yes, she's here. She's in handcuffs because one of my officers arrested her. Another pause. Understood. Yes, sir. Right away. He hung up and turned to Tucker, his voice dropping to something cold and final. Take those cuffs off her right now. But right now, Tucker. Tucker unlocked the handcuffs. Marcus rubbed her wrists. Deep red marks were visible, angry lines where the metal had pressed into her skin. A captain arrived within minutes. James Rivera, a 26-year veteran who'd seen plenty of officer mistakes but few this catastrophic. Lawson briefed him quickly, showing him the credentials, explaining what Tucker had done. Rivera's jaw tightened with each sentence. He turned to Marcus. Agent Marcus, on behalf of the Atlanta Police Department, I sincerely apologize. This is completely unacceptable. Marcus's voice remained measured. Captain, with all due respect, an apology doesn't address what happened here. I was racially profiled, arrested without cause, handcuffed excessively, and humiliated in public. I will be filing a formal complaint and I will be pursuing legal action. Rivera nodded. You have every right to do so. Officer Tucker will be placed on immediate administrative leave pending investigation. He turned to Tucker. Badge and weapon. You're done for the day. Captain, I was responding to a call. You arrested an FBI agent after she showed you credentials. You didn't verify. You escalated. You used force. Give me your badge and weapon. Tucker's hands shook as he unclipped his badge and handed over his service weapon. For the first time, understanding seemed to break through. He'd destroyed his career in his first year. Should rookie officers face automatic termination after wrongful arrest involving false accusations of fake credentials? Drop your answer. Within 3 hours, the videos were everywhere. Multiple witnesses had recorded the arrest from different angles. Marcus identifying herself, showing her badge, being handcuffed, being walked to the patrol car like a criminal. The footage showed everything. FBI agent arrested for grocery shopping while black. Rookie cop handcuffs federal agent, calls credentials fake. Atlanta officer detains FBI counterterrorism agent in parking lot. The response was immediate and furious. The FBI issued a statement within hours, condemning the arrest and confirming Marcus's identity and credentials. The Atlanta Police Department issued its own statement, announcing Tucker's administrative leave and promising a full investigation. Civil rights organizations called for Tucker's termination. National security experts pointed out the dangerous precedent of local officers arresting federal agents conducting counterterrorism work. Officer Ryan Tucker's law enforcement career imploded within days. The Atlanta Police Department placed him on unpaid administrative leave. An internal investigation was launched immediately, reviewing not just this arrest, but Tucker's entire 9-month record. What they found was damning. 4 prior complaints, all involving people of color, all dismissed without meaningful investigation. A pattern of seeing black and brown people in affluent spaces and assuming they didn't belong, training evaluations noting his tendency to escalate, and now the arrest of an FBI agent. Tucker released a brief statement through his attorney. I was responding to a call about suspicious activity. I made decisions based on my training. I regret the outcome. The statement was hollow, defensive, revealing nothing that resembled actual understanding of what he'd done. Civil rights attorneys contacted Marcus within 24 hours. This wasn't just a wrongful arrest. This was racial profiling. This was a violation of federal civil rights. This was evidence that even FBI credentials couldn't protect black people from biased policing. Marcus filed a lawsuit 3 weeks later. The lawsuit named Officer Ryan Tucker, Sergeant Mike Lawson for failure to properly train and supervise, Captain James Rivera for systemic failures, and the city of Atlanta. The claims were comprehensive: unlawful arrest and detention without probable cause, false imprisonment, violation of federal civil rights under 42 U.S.C. 1000, 983, racial profiling and discrimination, excessive force through overly tight handcuffs, intentional infliction of emotional distress, failure to verify credentials despite repeated requests, and failure to train officers to recognize and verify federal law enforcement credentials. The lawsuit included Tucker's complete record, 4 complaints in 9 months, all involving people of color, all dismissed, training evaluations warning about his judgment, all ignored, and now the arrest of a federal agent in front of multiple witnesses with video evidence. The City of Atlanta's legal team reviewed the evidence. The videos were clear. The witnesses were credible. The FBI was involved. A federal agent with 12 years of service and 2 director's awards had been handcuffed for loading groceries. The city's attorneys recommended immediate settlement. 14 months after the arrest, the city settled for $3.7 million. The settlement included a requirement that Atlanta PD implement new training protocols on recognizing and verifying federal credentials, establish a bias complaint review board with civilian oversight, and terminate Officer Ryan Tucker. Tucker was officially terminated 11 weeks after the arrest. The termination letter was direct and final. Officer Tucker arrested a federal law enforcement agent without probable cause, refused to verify legitimate federal credentials, and demonstrated a pattern of racially biased policing. Despite warnings and training evaluations about his judgment and escalation tendencies, Officer Tucker continued to engage in discriminatory practices. His employment is terminated effective immediately. Tucker's name was entered into the National Decertification Index. His law enforcement career ended at 24 years old, 9 months after it began. He released no further statements. Should cities face mandatory federal oversight after settlements involving FBI agents? Let me know in the comments. Special Agent Kendra Marcus testified before the Atlanta City Council 6 months after the incident. Her testimony was clear, powerful, and damning. I'm a federal agent with 12 years of experience in counterterrorism and counterintelligence. I hold a master's degree from Georgetown. I've prevented domestic terror attacks. I've testified before Congress. I've received the FBI Director's Award for Excellence twice. She paused, letting that sink in. And none of that mattered when Officer Tucker saw me standing at my own car. He saw a black woman with a Mercedes and decided I must be a criminal. I showed him my federal credentials. He called them fake. I offered him a phone number to verify them. He refused. I complied with every order, and I was still arrested, handcuffed so tight my wrists bled, and humiliated in front of dozens of people. Her voice strengthened. Officer Tucker had 4 complaints in 9 months. 4, all involving people of color, all dismissed. How many complaints does an officer need before someone recognizes a pattern? 5? 10? How many lives need to be disrupted before a department takes action? She looked directly at the council members. The settlement I received is significant, but money doesn't erase the trauma of being treated like a criminal while loading groceries. It doesn't restore the dignity of being handcuffed in public. And it doesn't answer the question that keeps me awake. If this can happen to an FBI agent with credentials and authority, what happens to everyone else? What happens to black people without badges, without resources, without cameras recording? The room was silent. Should departments terminate officers after 3 verified complaints involving racial bias? Drop your answer. This wasn't just about one arrest. This was about a system that hired Ryan Tucker, trained him, ignored warning signs, dismissed 4 complaints, and then acted surprised when he arrested an FBI agent. Tucker's training evaluations had warned that he escalated situations unnecessarily. His FTOs had noted he saw threats where none existed. 4 residents had complained about his treatment of people of color. Every piece of evidence said this officer shouldn't be on patrol. But the Atlanta Police Department kept him there anyway, dismissing complaints, filing away evaluations, treating each incident separately instead of seeing the pattern. Tucker's record told a story his supervisors ignored. 4 complaints in 9 months, all involving people of color in affluent areas, all dismissed as misunderstandings or unfounded. The pattern was obvious. Tucker assumed black and brown people didn't belong in wealthy neighborhoods. He stopped them, questioned them, demanded proof they had a right to be there. And when they asserted their rights, he escalated. The system validated him every time, teaching him that his biases were correct that his instincts were sound, that his actions were justified, Ryan Tucker's career is over. That's consequences. The city paid $3.7 million. That's accountability. Atlanta PD implemented new training. That's reform. But none of that undoes what happened. None of that erases the moment when Kendra Marcus, a federal agent who'd spent 12 years protecting this country, was handcuffed in a parking lot for being black. The real question is, what changes now? Do departments finally remove officers after 3 complaints instead of waiting for the 4th, the 8th, the 11th? Do supervisors finally take training evaluations seriously when they warn about judgment problems and escalation tendencies? Do we finally acknowledge that seeing black people as suspicious simply for existing in certain spaces is not policing, it's racism with a badge? Because if we don't fix the systems that kept Tucker on patrol despite 4 complaints, if we don't address the culture that taught him black people with nice cars must be criminals, then we're just waiting for the next rookie officer, the next federal agent, the next parking lot, the next video. Comment if you believe this should be law. Officers who refuse to verify federal credentials face automatic termination and entry into the National Decertification Index. And if you think these stories matter, if you believe accountability starts with exposure and change starts with pressure, then hit that subscribe button right now. We're not stopping. We're going to keep exposing officers who mistake their biases for instincts. We're going to keep demanding departments fire cops after 3 complaints, not 11. We're going to keep fighting for the FBI agents, the grocery shoppers, the everyday people who deserve to exist in public spaces without being treated like criminals. This isn't just about one rookie cop or one federal agent. It's about all of us and the country we're willing to accept.